Hello, Plant Life people. I think I'm live. My laptop is way over there today. Welcome. I have my regulars waiting. So exciting. And actually, my friend Courtney just told me I am one subscriber away from 300. So if you are watching this and you have not subscribed, please do me a solid and subscribe to my channel so I can get over 300. That would be exciting. I've been on YouTube a long time and I've only got to 300 followers. So I need to step up my game somehow. So I'm begging you right now, go and subscribe. If you have already subscribed, sign up with another email and subscribe again. We'll trick these YouTube algorithms. That's really exciting news. That totally made my day. So we have another vegan cooking demo. Again, this is the Plant Life Canada. The whole point of these cooking demos is to show people how easy, delicious, and cheap vegan cooking is, because I think when people are thinking about going vegan, they wonder, what the heck am I going to eat? And there's tons of stuff to eat, and that's the point of this channel. And I also like showing or sort of introducing people to new stuff that I discovered, which I think is fantastic, which usually comes from other people's blogs. And that leads me to let you know that today's recipe is from a cooking blog called Will Young Cooking, and he does videos called Cooking with Confidence. And I watched a really simple video. It's not going to seem like an exciting recipe because we're basically making stir fry. But his sauce recipe was really awesome, and I wanted to share some tips and tricks about making sauces. And then he cuts his vegetables in a really unique way, which, you know, if you're not into cooking and food, whatever, you might find that boring. But I always find it interesting when I can find different ways to chop stuff up, because you do eat with your eyes and you do eat with your mouth. So when you have a different mouth feel, if you put a plate or a dish together and everything comes together, you have all the flavors, it tastes good, it feels good when you eat it. That is the joy of cooking, and that is how you can easily transition into a new way of eating. So if you're thinking of going plant-based or vegan, cooking meals that will taste good and putting extra care into them will help you transition through that. And then you'll just eventually get used to it and be eating vegan food all the time and being full and satisfied and feel that everything is delicious. So we're actually making stir fry is maybe not the right word, but the recipe was vegetable or tofu Manchurian. And I think Manchurian is a type of recipe kind of like how a lot of people, especially here in the West, refer to curry. There's a million different kinds of curries, and it can differ, I think, even the next town over, depending on what country you're in. And when I was looking up different Manchurian recipes, I think the same applies. There's a lot of sort of Asian, like truly Asian Manchurian recipes. There's more Indian-based Manchurian recipes. This one, I believe, is Chinese. But there's also a different kind of twist to the sauce that I'm going to show you. So a lot of little tips in this video based on a very simple kind of stir fry recipe. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to chop some vegetables. And in my pan, I have pre-cooked a little bit of tofu because I wanted to get a nice browning on it. So again, we're going to be making tofu Manchurian. So first of all, let's go down and cut some veggies. See if I can move my camera without freaking out. All right, so we have some few veggies here. I've got my tofu cooking in my pan. And so the basics of this recipe are carrot, pepper, tofu, and some onion, which I have in another bowl. You guys don't need to watch me chop onions, but I wanted to show you the different way that Will was chopping this stuff in his recipe. So he did it in this sort of cubes or triangles. And I thought that was exciting because I think a lot of non-vegans look at like cubed up tofu and it's so boring. So I thought, why not do triangles? So I have this half a block of tofu, and it's a pretty thin one, so we're just going to cut it in half. We're going to cut it in half again. And so remember, if you're trying to make a really good dish, you want to make all the pieces of food a similar size. So you don't want teeny tiny pieces of tofu and giant pieces of pepper. You kind of want them all to be the same. So we have it cut in half. And then we're going to cut it into triangles. So he did this really quickly. I probably won't be able to. But you just alternate your knife back and forth till you get all these cool triangles. So these tofu won't be as crispy as the other ones, but it's fine. So again, you're just going to go back and forth real quick, and you kind of get a neat triangle. So let's get that in the pan, and I'm going to stir this up so they're already sticking to this pan. So I did a little tiny bit of oil in this pan, and then I pan fried the tofu just so we want to get a little bit of brown on it. It'll help the texture. But if you're okay with the texture of tofu like I am, it basically just needs to heat through. But it's nice to get a little sear on it, so we're going to let that cook over here. I'm going to turn up the temperature a little bit. So in this bowl, I have some red pepper and onion and a little bit of carrot under there. So we're going to chop some more. Actually, I'm going to throw this right in the pan. Let's get it started. Because it's always the cooking time on these live demos. You don't want to go crazy cooking time. So let's get that going. So we'll turn that up a little bit. All right, so now we're going to cut this carrot. And again, we want to do the same size pieces. But you also want to be aware that carrot takes a little bit longer to cook. So we want to keep them fairly small like we have in our pan. So same thing when you're at the skinny end of the carrot, you can just alternate your knife and get these cool little sort of triangle cubes, and it gives you a different feel. And then when it gets thicker, cut it in half and do the same thing. So you're just moving the vegetable in your knife, and you kind of get these nice little shapes. Like that. I'll throw those in. And I'm going to add, I think I have a little bit of water. I don't want to put too much more oil in here. Hope that sizzling is not too loud, but we're going to get some water helping us cook. And that's something you can do that's another tip, sort of, if you're trying to cut out oil and you can't cut all of it out, put a little bit of oil in for flavor and then use water the rest of the way and mix it up. All right, now we have our pepper. So I think this is a contentious issue. Like, how do you cut peppers? So some people cut them in half and then just start cutting. Some people cut out the top first and then start cutting around. When I cut, I usually do this. So I find the top part and I cut like this. And then I go all the way around, cutting just down the sides so that the seeds kind of stay intact. But Will on his channel cuts them like this. So I'm going to try this. He starts from the bottom. So you get all the bottom. And he goes around like this. So I think that's as easy as the way I do it, because I would just chop down like this and then take the bottom off. But at least what happens is you get the seeds stay intact and don't make a mess on your cutting board. So I love that. Hope everyone in the chat's doing good. I'm not even checking it out. I hope you guys are good. So then we want to make our triangles. We have our little bottom. Let's try this guy. So again, you're going to go just rotate back and forth. Get that in the tray. Rotate back and forth. And again, this is exciting for me because I love food and I love having different stuff. And I even like cut up some tofu on the weekend in triangles. You can call me lame if you want, but I like something different. Because for me, I usually chop stuff up really small, and I think sometimes my partner doesn't like the small chops, but I just hate cutting stuff in plain cubes. It seems weird. So when I saw him cutting his veggies like this, I really loved it. So let's do this real quick. Get this in the pan. So I might turn up the heat here because this would usually take, I don't know, at least 6 or 7 minutes to cook all this down. So I'm going to turn the heat up. And I'm going to add some more water. And there we go. So that brings me, my crooked camera angle, to our sauce. So again, this is a very simple Manchurian sauce that I got from Will Young Cooking. He does Cooking with Confidence. If you're new, we're making a recipe called Veggie and Tofu Manchurian. And so we're going to make the sauce, but I wanted to also give you some tips. I often don't cook with a recipe. Some people are comfortable with that, some people aren't. But if you're really one of those people that are kind of stuck, that you really feel comfortable using a recipe, I just wanted to show you how easy it is, if you don't have all the ingredients, not to freak out. you can still make a really delicious sauce if you think about the ingredients that you're missing and sub in the appropriate thing. So in Will's recipe, there's soy sauce, rice vinegar, vegetarian or vegan oyster sauce, and potato starch. So I have soy sauce, so we can start with that. I'm gonna do probably 3 tablespoons. I have to extrapolate this recipe because I put way more veggies in my pan than he did. So we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And I have rice vinegar, which is 1 teaspoon. And again, I'm kind of sort of doubling the sauce. So I'm gonna do, the original recipe was 1, I'm gonna do 2. I'm not gonna do 3 because rice vinegar is pretty potent. So 2. And I'm not even showing you my bowl. So let's go back down here. There we go. So I've got my soy sauce and my rice vinegar in here, but I do not have vegetarian oyster sauce or vegan oyster sauce, and I do not have potato starch. So potato starch is easy. We're going to substitute with cornstarch, and the cornstarch in this recipe is going to thicken it, and it's going to give the veggies like a shine when it thickens it. So I'm going to wipe off my spoon because it's wet. And I'm going to do, it called for 1/4 teaspoon, so I'm going to do like just under a full teaspoon. You're going to see how that goes. I don't want it to thicken up too much, but this type of sauce is not one where you get like a runny stir-fry sauce. It's just going to stick nicely to everything. So let's mix that up. So the other ingredient I don't have is vegetarian oyster sauce. So if you think about it, vegetarian oyster sauce is made from mushrooms, so you have that umami type of flavor. So what can give us an umami savory flavor? The vegan's favorite, nutritional yeast. And nutritional yeast will also thicken the sauce a little bit, which is helpful for us. So I'm going to put in, let's go with 2 teaspoons. See how that works. And then vegetarian oyster sauce is also a little bit sweet. So I am going to stir my veggies first so they don't stick. And I'm going to use a little bit of maple syrup to get that little bit of sweetness, and that's how we're recreating this oyster sauce. So you don't have to worry that you don't have it or run out, and buy some oyster sauce. Just think about what it tastes like and find those ingredients. So let's do 2 teaspoons. The sugar is also going to caramelize and help everything stick together. So I really, I think that substitution is going to be great. So this still looks like, I'm afraid this is not enough sauce. I'm used to lots of sauce. So I don't know how this is going to work out. So we have our veggies cooking back in here. And again, if you don't want to use oil, use water. But this is just drying out, if you guys can see. And all the tofu is getting a bit brown, even that tofu we put in late. So we have some nice texture there. For some reason in this kitchen, it doesn't pick up the colors really nice for me, but you can imagine that this is a rainbow with all these different colored peppers and onions. It's lovely. So everything is pretty cooked through. The onions are translucent, and you just want to cook it through to your preference, right? And then we're going to add. So let's try this. So again, we have created our own sauce. We've got soy sauce, rice vinegar. We made our own oyster sauce with nutritional yeast and maple syrup. And we used our cornstarch instead of potato starch. Nice and shiny. Awesome. All right, I'm going to turn this down a bit, this heat. So another tip when you're using a like a sort of stir-fry sauce that has a thickening agent or sugar, is you want to make sure the temperature is a bit down, because that stuff is going to thicken up so quick and the sugar is going to caramelize quick. So that's another tip. And I'm telling you, that's based on bad experiences of me messing up. Stir fry, which I don't know, it's not that, stir fry is an easy dish. How can you mess it up? But I have. So that's my tip to you. All right. So hopefully you guys can see that back there. Let's see if I can adjust my dang camera. There we go. I got a new tripod, and you know what? I don't think I'm liking it. All right. So this is now looking a little dry. Let's do a little bit of water because we're not sure about our sauce. And then we're going to add our delicious sauce. So you want to get in there and stir this pretty fast. And basically we're just looking for it to coat the veggies and make them nice and shiny with the sauce. We're not looking for like ooey gooey lots of sauce. That's not this type of dish. Oh, it smells good though, I can tell you that. So we have this nice and dry, so there's no sauce running around, and you can see the sauce is like sticking so nicely to all the veggies, coating them. Ooh, I'm excited to eat this one. Okay, we are done. Look at that. Let's turn our heat off, all the way off. Let's adjust this camera. One day I will be a professional and I'll have 2 cameras, and we'll have some sort of crazy streaming program where you can have 2 angles on your YouTube video. That's my goal for this year. So how we're going to eat this, in a bowl, and with, you know, I'm sure there's a traditional way, probably with rice, to eat Manchurian. But if you don't have rice or you don't like rice, put it on noodles. And if you don't have Asian noodles, put it on spaghetti noodles. It's all about the sauce and the flavor, and you can do whatever you like. So all I'm trying to say is if you find a recipe where you like most of it, don't worry about having all the ingredients. You can sub a lot of stuff in. So I have some noodles that I got from my local Asian market, and they're sort of wavy ramen noodles that have spinach, and I rinsed them out and put oil in them in an effort for them not to stick, and they kind of stuck together anyway. So here we have our noodles, and we're going to put some veg Manchurian. And I was saying at the beginning of the video, a lot of Manchurian recipes are actually more Indian. And someone in the comments of Will's video is mentioning that if you add some chili sauce, or that thick red chili sauce, and tomatoes into the stir fry, you get a little bit more of an Indian flavor, and that also sounds delicious. So I'm not going to move my camera again. I really need that second camera to get both angles, because constantly switching the camera angle with my big fat fingers in the camera, probably not very cool looking on YouTube. All right, look at this steamy bowl and all the colors. So again, you want to eat, you also eat with your eyes, right? So you want to make sure whatever you eat is delicious. So even if you plated this up differently, a lot of YouTubers and Instagram folks will sort of put the starch or the noodles on the side. So we have a little bit on the side. And then I'm going to, you know, I put 2 things on everything, is nooch and my everything bagel mix. And actually someone was mentioning, someone in Canada, a friend in Canada was mentioning they were shopping somewhere, and the company started making their own pre-made everything bagel mix, and that's so cool. But I still make mine from home. So we've got sesame seeds and garlic and onion pieces in this, and that's so good on top of a noodle dish. So let's put some of that on. And the other thing I wanted to try, and again, this is a lesson in experimentation, I have these leftover coconut chips from when I made my coconut bacon last week. So I'm going to put a few of those on, because I haven't had these in a long time as a snack, and they've got a really nutty and like sort of fatty, delicious flavor. And a lot of Asian dishes will put nuts on things or cashews. So I thought, let's do that just as a mix. Where's my fork? I need to eat. Okay, so there we have our beautiful dish with our nice toppings, even some green onion. Makes anything look fancy. Some chives or green onion, you can make a dish look fancy. So, boom, lots of chat going on. Thank you so much, guys. Now it's time for my favorite part, the taste test. So I have my spinachy noodles and I have all my veggies. So let's see if I can get one of everything on my fork. I might not be able to, but we're gonna try. And we need a coconut piece. Okay, I've got my noodles. I've got my cool triangle tofu and a couple of veggies on there. So let's see how it goes. Oh, it's not too hot. It feels kind of hot. Do I want it? Mmm. Good bite. Mmm. I'm so glad I put that coconut on. I really like the crunch. Mmm. And the tofu actually got really good. So I used extra firm tofu. And the company that I use, it's called like Tofu, I think. It's always super firm. Texture turned out so good. The only thing I would add to the sauce is maybe a bit of heat. So like some hot sauce. But it's really nicely coating everything. And the onion. Onions cook good. Carrots are cooked good. So really not a long time. Actually, I was a little bit afraid that the veggies wouldn't be cooked. Like the carrots wouldn't get soft enough. But because we cut them into these triangles, they have a lot of surface area, and they actually cook up really quick. And it's not too, like, there's nothing too sweet about it and nothing too savory or salty about it. It's like right in the middle, perfect. I'm just gonna eat. Sorry, I'm still eating and talking. Really good. That's it, everybody. That is the end of the video. Thank you so much for all your comments in the chat. I just saw someone named Danny talking about the noodles. So we're here in Canada and we have a big Asian grocery store called T&T, and they have like 2 full aisles of noodles, and I just love going there and picking them out. So these were kind of ramen noodles without all the little packets of seasoning, and they just come in little bricks, and they're so good. And I've seen other Japanese style noodles that kind of like look like ribbons like that, and I find they're so good for catching the sauce. So check that out in your local Asian grocery store. Anyway, that is the end of the video. Super quick again, super easy, super delicious, and vegan, and healthy, and all the things. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Again, if you have not subscribed, if you're joining late, I'm so close to 300 followers, I guess, on YouTube. Or subscribers. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I would so appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone joining. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And if you have some extra time, if you want to help me beat the YouTube algorithm, stay on YouTube and watch another video. Doesn't even have to be mine, but obviously I'd love for you to watch some of my videos, and that'll show YouTube that I brought a bunch of cool people to YouTube, and then YouTube will like me. That's how it works. So that's it. That's all. Join me next week on the Plant Life Canada for another cheap and easy and delicious vegan recipe. Bye.